When Black Meets Blue, take one, and action. Hi, I'm Rob Bell. I'm the author of When Black Meets Blue. I just wanted to take some time to talk a little about why I wrote the book When Black Meets Blue. Having been a police officer for several years in a mid-major city like Rochester, New York, which is located between Buffalo and Syracuse up in western New York, gave me an opportunity to work in an institution that is primarily white. Let's be frank about it. Most police departments around the country are comprised of white police officers, and and they are the majority, and the minority of those forces are African Americans. Rochester was no different. At the time that I was a police officer in the 1980s, moving forward, the majority of the police officers on the department were white police officers, and we as African Americans were the minority. And so I wore the blue, and I came up with the name for the book, When Black Meets Blue, because as a black police officer, I met the blue by wearing it every day, but I also met the blue by patrolling in the neighborhoods of primarily African American communities up in the Rochester community. Working as an African American police officer posed many challenges, not only with the organization and institution that I work for, but also posed challenges by working in the black community. The third piece to it was how it affected my personal life, my personal well-being. And I think that's the story that people very rarely hear about. When you are out in your daily routines and you're out in the streets and you see police officers, uh, the first thing that comes to your mind is you don't want to be bothered with them. You're afraid of them. Especially in the black community, police officers are dreaded, basically hated. And police officers are looked at as robots, people in uniforms who are there to either protect you or there to either uh, come down on you. So, you are never kind of put in the light of being the quote unquote good guy. Only in very rare cases is that happening. In most cases, you're put in the light as being the guy that's going to come down on you. As an African American police officer, you have kind of a double-edged sword that you have to deal with because the department that you work for has always had a kind of skepticism about you being a police officer in the first place, and they're putting you under a microscope. By contrast, the community that you work in and work for, and in most cases, you're going to be working in and for communities that are of African American descent. Those people hate you. Basically, there's no other way to say that. And so, while you're out trying to do your job and do your work, uh, you're being looked at from both sides, from the front and the back. And that causes a lot of tension. It causes a lot of skepticism on your part, and it puts you in a position of being stressed out almost on a daily basis on a job that's already by nature stressful. So when Black Meets Blue, when I wrote that, it talks about all of that, and it gives you a real clear kind of picture of what I had to deal with as a black police officer, an African American police officer, not only in the community but within my own institution. It's a very interesting read. So if you're a criminal justice major, if you're thinking about becoming a police officer, if you're thinking about getting involved in law enforcement on any level, When Black Meets Blue is a great book to read because it gives you uh, not necessarily a educational or scientific uh, uh, kind of view of what law enforcement and policing is all about, but it gives you a real side, a real view of a real police officer who did it on an everyday basis. So take some time. If you're interested, go to Amazon.com, type in When Black Meets Blue in the search engine, and order your book, When Black Meets Blue.